कुमार स्वामी नायक है गोंगो लिबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
In the news tonight, typhoid toll in the north rises to 15. Fully renewable energy goal may be out of reach. And EU pumps in $50 million for Pacific healthcare.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Bulavinaka, Fiji. The number of typhoid cases in Vanuatu continues to rise. 2 new cases were recorded over the weekend, taking the total number of cases contracted after tropical cyclone Yasa to 15. Eleanor Turangaivu reports.
For the 2 new typhoid cases, 1 was recorded in Madhuata and 1 in Boa, the first case from the province since tropical cyclone Yasa.
Now that we have a new case in Boa, we will also be looking at water and sanitation in that particular area.
There are now 12 cases of typhoid in Madhuata, 2 in Rugby and 1 in Boa. From today, the Ministry of Health is focusing on suppressing and reducing leptospirosis, typhoid, dengue and diarrhea sources in the province of Boa.
We have already discussed it this morning during our brief with the team. And from today, they will start to look into those areas as well for the village in Boa.
The ministry is also continuing its LTDD awareness in communities in Madhuata and Rugby.
With all the typhoid cases increasing, I think healthy living is best. Let's not wait for the government to tell us what to do. Cleanliness is important.
Clean everything, compound, and all the things that drains was not blockage.
The Ministry of Health continues to test water used in the affected areas, and they are also looking into communities outside of the hotspot areas. Eleanor Turangaivu, FBC News.
Eleanor Turangaivu is live in Lambasa now. Eleanor, it's D+38 days at the Northern Emergency Operations Center. What progress has been made on rehabilitation underway in cyclone-affected parts of Vanuatu?
Edwin, we are now into day 8 of the extended state of natural disaster, and restoration and rehabilitation works continue here in Vanuatu. For EFL, power restoration is expected to be completed by the end of this month. There are parts of Ndreketi and Sanganga that are connected to the EFL grid that are still without power at the moment. So EFL is saying that the restoration works has been hampered by the current wet weather conditions. Now to water supply restoration is continuing, and it's almost completed in the affected areas. Yesterday they managed to complete the repairs and connection of the submerged water pipes system that connects from Lekutu to Ngaloa Island. So they managed to finish that yesterday. So by today, the people on Ngaloa Island, as well as Ngaloa Island Primary School, which was severely damaged by tropical cyclone Yasa, are now receiving water on their taps. Onto the fast fix of schools, this is also almost complete. Once the RFMF engineers are finished from the schools, they will then move to the teachers' quarters as well as the ablution blocks for the schools. Now, no date has yet been set for the permanent fix of the schools as well as for individual homes. Edwin, the detailed damage assessment has now been completed according to the Commissioner Northern Office, that the report is expected to be presented to the National Disaster Management Council as well as Cabinet, where a decision will be made soon on the rehabilitation. And lastly, Edwin, a massive food ration distribution is expected to be undertaken in Vanuatu soon. Now for this distribution, all households, individual households in the 3 provinces will get food packs. Now this, according to the Commission Northern Division, this is derived from the assessment tabled by the Ministry of Agriculture following their assessment. Now FBC News understands that they found widespread damage in farms across all the 3 provinces. So today the 3 provincial administrators from the 3 provinces as well as NDMO officials have been working together to finalize the calculation for distribution, and Edwin, a date is yet to be set for the distribution.
Minaka, Eleanor. Fiji may not be able to achieve its target under the National Development Plan to use 100% renewable energy by 2036. Minister for Infrastructure Chone Usamate confirmed this to FBC News, saying there are some setbacks. Sanyani Mboila reports some of these include the inability to secure funding and lack of expertise.
The transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy is not an easy task and is costly.
We need to address the issue of getting the financing modalities, whether it's through government or whether it's through partnership with our development partners or getting the private sector involved. Other areas, obviously, of course, is the area of expertise, making sure that we have the expertise to make these things happen. We need to develop our ability locally here in Fiji so we can tap into these funding sources.
The fossil fuel imports last year amounted to 2/3 of the total imports, and Usamate says the transition to renewable energy is vital.
It's quite considerable. So if we can move away gradually over time, move away from energy based on fossil fuel and divert it to renewable energy, those costs will decline. Those costs will decline. Our challenge, though, as you move to renewable energy, your upfront capital cost is high.
Permanent Secretary for Environment Joshua Wycliffe says they are working on renewable energy solutions from waste.
Period of 3 years, targeting to increase the amount of waste that comes into the landfill. We have also looked at options of a collection network across the country.
The Energy Ministry was part of the International Renewable Energy Agency virtual meeting last week, which discussed the challenges faced and the programs in place to help meeting national development plans. Sainiani Mboila, FBC News.
And Sanyani Mboila is live with us now. Sai, what are some of the projects that have been implemented to help with this transition?
Our national target is to have a complete transition of 100% renewable energy by 2036. At the moment, we are currently sitting at around 50 to 60%. Some of the renewable energy projects currently operation include hydro plants, of which 3 are situated in Namosi and another 2 in the Western Division. Plans are also in place to build solar farms in Tabioni and Ovalau. Edwin, the complete transition is also in line with the Paris Agreement, which is to reduce the global temperature rise by 2 degrees.
Nakasai. Fiji is among Pacific Island countries benefiting from around $50 million in European Union allocations. The EU today signed an agreement to strengthen the health systems in the region. Jeshulal reports the agreement known as the Health Support in Response to COVID-19 in the Pacific.
Despite being able to cope well with COVID-19 and medical personnel being at the forefront, the medical system still remains a key priority.
It will be implemented by our partners, the World Health Organization, the World Food Programme and the Pacific Community, pulled together in a joint incident management team which was set up almost a year ago to coordinate the efforts of government. But we decided to not reinvent the wheel but support a mechanism which was already in place.
The Director for World Food Programme, Joe Pilgrim, says the organization is helping with emergency supplies to various islands in the Pacific.
The Pacific Humanitarian Air Service fills a gap in the supply chain and supports the delivery of urgently required medical equipment, including PPE.
The World Health Organization will co-finance the activity with over $500,000 US. Pacific Island countries are scaling up efforts to ensure that they're ready to deal with and well equipped for any further threats from that of COVID-19. Jeshulal, FBC News.
Up ahead, rapist gets 20-year jail term. And Sadelpa MPs plead not guilty.
भाई तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Welcome back. A man's been sentenced to 20 years imprisonment in the Suva High Court this morning. Ilyasa Duanilawa was found guilty of aggravated robbery, assault and rape. Duanilawa was convicted of entering a Nosori home in February 2019 where a woman and her 3-year-old child were staying. he raped the woman and robbed the house. After assaulting the mother, Duanilawa threatened to cut her child's throat. He was caught by police later the same day. The High Court said the mother and child were attacked in their home, where they always should feel safe. With the 20-year sentence, a non-parole period of 16 years was set. All stolen items will be returned to the victim. Duanilawa has many other convictions dating back to 2007. 6 Sodelpa MPs alleged to have breached the Parliamentary Remuneration Act 2014 pleaded not guilty to their charges in the Suva Magistrates Court this morning. Andilitiang Yonimbaravi, Simone Rasova and Salote Randrondo are charged with giving false information to a public servant and obtaining financial advantage, along with Pedeli Vosanimbola, Nikona Waikula and Ratusiliano Matonitambua. Apanisa Wangai Randovo reports that former government MP Vijendra Prakash, who resigned from Parliament, faces the same charges.
Faikek alleges the MPs all lied about their residential addresses to obtain travel and accommodation allowances from Parliament. The 6 parliamentarians and Prakash allegedly claimed a combined total of $186,749 in parliamentary allowances that they were not entitled to. It is alleged they lived within 32 kilometers of Parliament and thus did not qualify for the allowances. The Sodelpa MPs will have their case called on the 9th of next month for consideration of transfer to the High Court. They will be excused from that court hearing if they are needed to be in Parliament. Prakash is scheduled to appear for plea on February 9th. Apinisongrandobu, FBC News.
Anyone caught breaking environment laws will now be taken to task following the appointment of 7 environment prosecutors. Minister for Environment Dr. Mahendra Reddy says this will help them enforce laws and take legal action against those who will not abide by provisions under the law. Lena Rees has more.
These prosecutors will now be able to track illegal activities that affect our environment and ensure sustainability.
This training has led our environment officers better understand the requirements of prosecution and equipping them to undertake prosecution methods in a more timely manner. But more so, be able to correct the right type of information, the right data, and also present it in a manner which will convince the court about the case that is being put forward to it.
Director of Public Prosecutions Christopher Pride says these appointments will send a strong message to individuals and companies.
The appointment of prosecutors for the Department of the Environment marks a watershed moment and sends a strong signal to the public of Fiji and the wider world that people and companies that infringe Fiji's environmental laws will be dealt with swiftly and severely.
The Environment Minister reiterated that the ultimate purpose for tracking and prosecuting environment crime is to ensure Fiji's natural resources enjoy a premier level of protection. Lena Rees, FBC News.
Service delivery remains an issue for Acting Police Commissioner Rusiate Tundravu. Speaking at a Thanksgiving service for 2020, Tundravu pointed out that the image of the force as a professional organization can be improved even further. Tundravu also commended the force for a decline in reports of serious crime, as well as an overall reduction in the crime rate in the last 12 months. The Acting Commissioner says police officers need to have a teachable attitude so they can adopt new practices and behavior.
Internally, externally. A very basic thing. That is something that I would like to see improve drastically in this organization. The way that we address people. I've already directed you address anybody coming interested with you, sirs and madam, irrespective of the status.
Thanks, Edwin. Coming up in business tonight, handicraft sellers change business approach. An FRCS to further enhance online services. Stay with us.
हमारे सामने नाइक है गोंगवा लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन
With sales reaching at an all-time low due to the pandemic, the Sinatoka handicraft vendors have taken a different approach in order to make money. The vendors who relied heavily on the tourism industry are now moving away from selling tourist souvenirs. Details with Felipe Nacaso.
The vendors at the Singotoka Handicraft Center have had to adapt to the current market situation to earn a living.
In April, we tried to change our products from necklaces, from wooden staff, from other the tourist attraction items. We switched to mats, wreath, salu-salu, and some tapa that will drag the locals to come and buy.
The 60-year-old who has been selling at the Handicraft Center since 2003 says it has been hard for them since the pandemic. However, they need to find ways of surviving. Before the pandemic, this handicraft center would be buzzing with tourists as resorts would arrange special trips for their guests wanting to do shopping and sightseeing here in Singotoka town.
But it's not like when the borders open, you know. It's really slow, and like now, for about three weeks, going on to a month now, we haven't even made any sales.
Some of these vendors are not opening their stalls daily as they're working on other things from home to earn a living.
When there's tourists around, we usually sell hundreds to $200 worth of stuff in a day if it's a good day. But like right now, we're barely making anything.
The vendors say they will continue working as majority of them are sole breadwinners. Philip and Ikaso, FBC News.
Sanifa joins us now with the latest from the money market.
Good evening. A quick look at trading on our local stock exchange last week. 18 transactions saw about 38,000 shares traded, valued at around $315,000. This saw the SPX record a notable decrease of 1.79% and concluded the week at a total value of $3.44 billion. Australia is starting the week with a holiday. They will publish the December Westpac leading index and fourth quarter inflation figures on Wednesday, alongside their National Bank's business confidence report. Elsewhere, the US dollar held ground. Weak economic data from Europe and fresh worries about the coronavirus supported investor demand for safe currency supporting the greenback. The US Federal Reserve will announce its latest decision on monetary policy on Wednesday. Economic activity in the Eurozone are shrinking as strict pandemic lockdowns hit the bloc's dominant service industries hard as British retailers struggle to recover in December. So let's see how the market tone settles in for the coming days. But for now, that's all from HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Here are the local exchange rates as set early this morning. It was a mixed day for the Fiji dollar as it gained against the Chinese yuan and the Aussie dollar, also picking up ground on the Japanese yen but declined against the other currencies we cover. The commodities market was dropping. Oil prices fell to just above $52 a barrel. Gold was down a few dollars, closing at $1,854 per ounce, and silver closed down at $25.68 an ounce. The Fiji Revenue and Customs Service is reviewing its system to further improve its online services. For February, the FRCS will be focusing on its platform that deals with pay-as-you-earn tax. Director Revenue Management Fazul Rahman says the whole process of administration has already been made as the final tax a few years ago. Rahman says currently the employer is responsible to deduct PAYE and pay to the FRCS. He adds PAYE accounts for 50% of the total income tax revenue for the FRCS.
So we are taking that system, we are enhancing that current system into the new IT system that we are bringing on board. And when I'm talking about enhancement, I'm talking about data security, I'm talking about data integrity, we're talking about checks and balances.
And that's it from Business Tonight. We now join Jamie with the latest in sports.
Thanks, and good evening ahead in sports. Super Series champion Police Blue on a mission. And Super Football out the stamp name in CVC history. This and more coming up.
Marsan naik ke Gomgwa Lubu Latoka रेडियो फीजी 2 में
Police Blue will be aiming to replicate their performance from the FRU Super 7 series when they take part in the Mobile Uprising Sevens tournament this weekend. Following a good start to their 2021 campaign, the side is hungry for more tournament wins. Felipe Naikaso has more.
The newly crowned champions of the inaugural tournament of the Super 7 series in Lawanga Park is now aiming for the Uprising Sevens tournament.
We'll take each tournament and we'll go back to camp, rest a little bit and come back. We got plenty boys in the team. 1 or 2 teams will be filled up in the uprising.
The Life After Rugby Barbarians, who are also one of the favorites, will be aiming to expose more young talents in the rugby scene.
We just want to give the boys here in Fiji, not just Suva, lots of boys everywhere in Fiji who wants to come and join our barbarian team. This team is open. If you want to come and play, because we are trying to replicate 7 standard, our training and discipline.
With borders closed, these 7 tournaments being organized will help with coach Gareth Baber's preparations. Baber has also been impressed with a number of players so far and will be keeping an eye on them during the Uprising Sevens.
Focus is on getting 5, 6 perfect games in the Olympics, and for 6 perfect games I need 7 players on the field at all times, and that's there's no secret that we need that, and the players need to ensure that they're taking accountability and responsibility for that.
The tournament will be held at the Uprising Sports Complex in Pacific Harbour this weekend. Felipe Naikaso, FBC Sports.
The Suva football side will be looking to start its 2021 season with a win. Number 1 on the list is toppling Lambasa in the first leg of the champion versus champion on Friday. But while the Whites have featured in 7 CVC playoffs and yet to win the title, they remain optimistic of their chances. Karlaini Tabi has more.
Both Suva and Lambasa will be playing away from home turf, and they are under more pressure to step up.
It doesn't have to affect us. We are preparing mentally, physically, because we know that Ratu Takumbo Park isn't a home ground for us and for Lambasa. But definitely it has to happen because there's no other ground available.
Fitness is still a concern for the Whites, but Captain Felipe Mbara Vilala has full confidence in his young team.
Came back from festive season, Christmas and New Year. The boys are not fit yet, but I have confidence. I have full confidence in this bunch of boys and also the boys who are going to join us, that will lift up our performance during this league.
Lambasa has roped in Chone Naramba and Malan Tahioa, who will be a threat to the capital side.
Lambasa just roped in some good players like Chone Naramba and the Solomon Islander from Nasino, Malan, I guess his name is. They kind of will add thrust to their team, because this is some of the areas they were lacking in, and they got in players, and I had they're buying some more players.
Suva will take on Lambasa in the CVC series on Friday at 5 p.m. at Nosori's Ratu Takumbo Park. Lambasa are the defending champions, while Suva is yet to win a title. Karlini Tavi, FBC Sports.
After ending its first beach volleyball tournament on a high last weekend, Fiji Football Association Chief Executive Mohammed Yusuf says this has set a great platform for the sport in the country. He adds, with the right support and facilities, Fiji will be able to host an international tournament. Karalaini Tavi with the details.
Fijian footballers need to master the sport if they want to keep up to par with Pacific Island countries like Tahiti.
We had lost track of this form of the game, but now that Oceania is pushing all the member associations to get the beach soccer going, and with the facilities we have of hosting a high-level competition, and of course this gives our players another option to enjoy themselves, enjoy football on the sand.
Police Rep Devita Warnivalu welcomed the move to revive the sport in other forms of football.
Yes, I think they have done a good thing, reviving beach soccer. I know it's been going on a few years back, but reviving in this year, it's a good thing from them.
With the proper guidance, beach football in the country can go a long way.
After looking at our players, I think we are, if the right form of guidance are given to all our players who want to excel in this form of the game, I think we'll have a very competitive team going into the Oceania Championship.
Fiji last participated in the OFC beach soccer tournament in 2011 in Tahiti, finishing third in the competition. Carlini Tavi, FBC Sports.
The Ministry of Education is yet to make a decision on the 2021 Coca-Cola Games. Over the past few months, Athletics Fiji has tried to maintain interest from young competitors with their weekly competitions, but now with the hype already building for one of the biggest events on the Term 1 calendar, some former Fiji finals champions, now national reps, are hoping for the best outcome when the ministry meets to make a decision. Vinina Rakautonga has more.
More local competitions mean more talents will be developed.
As we know, not many students excel in the classroom. This could be a way out for them, not only in athletics but in rugby as well. So we'd like to see things return to normal. And I personally feel like the game should carry on.
National long jumper Eugene Volmer says the Coca-Cola Games is more than just a competition.
All these kids really look forward to the Fiji finals. It gives them that sense of hope. Sports bring people together. Sports give some people a sense of identity.
You know, there's been a lot of kids that have come out during the school break that just finished. A whole lot more students have come out. Just seeing them being, it's been a stiff year for them. They didn't really do much last year.
The Fiji Secondary School's athletics executives will be meeting with the Minister for Education tomorrow and are hoping to get some positive news. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
That's it from Sports Tonight. In new media, take a look at some of the features on Samsung's rugged Galaxy Tab Active 3. This and more coming up.
Baik tu dia jadi mereka tahu Radio Fiji बहुत Radio Fiji रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
A low pressure trough to the west has brought heavy rain alerts to much of the group, with a warning of heavy downpour at times. Sunny, hot and humid were the words for the weather in the west today. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, mostly sunny skies gave way to cloudiness and scattered showers. And up north, cloudy breaks with occasional showers. At sea, northwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, gusting to 25 at times, generating moderate swells. Turning to the tides, the next low tide is at 10:47 p.m., followed by high tide at 4:56 tomorrow morning. Sunrise is at 5:48. The forecast for tomorrow is increasing cloudiness and showers over most of the group. And looking ahead to Wednesday, we can expect the cloudiness, showers and occasional heavy rain. And in Fijian Pulse today, we are asking, are Fijians becoming too complacent with their lifestyle?
The reason why people have been dying because of the eating habit, like they have to choose the right food in order for them to survive, but they choose the wrong food, like what they eat, eating habit cause them to die early.
People are becoming carefree now because they have processed food.
Processed food, that is why they get sick.
Processed food?
I believe the problem in Fiji is that we eat processed food. That's why we are getting sick.
Now that's a yoga class I'd like to join. Recapping our main stories, typhoid toll in the north rises to 15, fully renewable energy goal may be out of reach, and EU pumps in $50 million for Pacific healthcare. For these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question, last week we asked, should next year's daylight savings be extended for a longer period? Close to 54% answered yes. This week we are asking, are Fijians becoming complacent about diabetic lifestyles? Visit our FBC News website to answer. And on to our shot of the day, a beautiful end to the day, a sunset captured by Mariana Ngoro at Malolo Lailai. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts, including Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. That's your news this evening. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. Modemanda.
हमारे सामने नायक है गोमवा लिबू लटो का रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे, हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।